1989 was a revolutionary year in German history. The Berlin Wall was finally opened, and the inner German border was soon to follow. It was during the period of reunification that Chancellor Helmut Kohl coined what has since become an infamous phrase.
Ich bin sicher, in 3, 4, 5 Jahren sind das blühende Landschaften.
Blooming landscapes within just a few years. 15 years later, photographer Christian Wolter set out to see what progress had been made. Chancellor Kohl's promise is now associated with the widespread disillusionment in the East since reunification. Things are certainly blossoming again in the East. Most of the GDR's environmentally unsound industry is now gone entirely. In 2004, Christian Wolter visited Wolfen-Nord, a satellite town created to house chemical workers. 5 years earlier, the authorities had built this slick-looking climbing tower in between the apartment blocks. Typically, there was not a soul in sight on the day when Wolter took his picture. The tower has rarely seen use because local people cannot afford the equipment needed to climb it. Wolfen-Nord's population is now just a third of its 1989 level. More apartment blocks have become vacant since Wolter's previous visit. He's seen many similar examples of post-industrial ruins, as well as more recently built business parks that have already failed. Christian Wolter cannot understand how this is possible in a country as rich as Germany.
These are projects that involve sums of €500 million, sometimes even more. One of them cost around 8 billion. You have to write out those zeros in order to comprehend how much that really is. Or try imagining if that sum could be shared out among all the residents around here.
The photographer traveled from east to west, documenting failed investments, white elephants, and post-industrial wastelands. Germany is in a way now unified, he says, with the East perhaps having the edge.
The failure of projects in the East is somehow a bit more impressive, because the ruins are newer.
While Wolfen has seen a climbing tower that no one wants, Bremen in the West has seen the creation of likewise useless business estates. One such project has been planned here in what used to be allotment gardens. But one resident stood her ground and braved the bulldozers. The picture of her now solitary house was taken 3 years ago, and the only progress since then appears to be in the length of the grass. Christian Wolter called his collection of photographs Blühende Landschaften, inspired by Helmut Kohl's reference to blossoming landscapes. Some of his pictures, in fact, show signs of growth, although in a different sense to that originally meant by the Chancellor.
The first things to settle in these areas are pioneer plants, invaders like the Canadian goldenrod, which also grows here. Then pretty soon you get blackberries. They take over an area, making it inaccessible. Then 2 or 3 years later you get birch trees. They gradually overgrow the entire place.
Some would say Germany has the costliest weeds in the world, but Wolter tries not to be cynical. His pictures may document failure, but they also try to look on the bright side.
I don't think my photos are depressing. They show conditions that in turn change. Things are happening. The house is still standing, but here you can see the new paving stones already.
The little house on this proto-industrial prairie will soon be surrounded by factories, unless the global financial crisis puts an end to those plans. But at least the blackberries will continue to flourish, thanks to the additional lighting provided.
That's the crazy part about the term blossoming landscapes, because the opposite has happened. Things have blossomed in a very different way than was imagined back then.
The unwanted climbing tower and the solitary house about to make way for a commercial park are two of the most poignant examples in Christian Wolte's book, a testimony to unfulfilled post-reunification promises.